Home to smugglers and fishermen, Vvardenfell's Bitter Coast region is a popular first stop for many would-be adventure travelers from across the Empire, and an alchemist's dream getaway. If the hustle and bustle of the big city isn't for you, and you want to experience the real Vardenfell, let us at the Office for Imperial Tourism be your guide through the mysterious marshlands of Vardenfell's southwest. Vardenfell is a rugged and unforgiving land, and the inner sea is dotted with rocks and islets, which make travel by ship extremely dangerous. With the southwest being the safest port of call for most larger Imperial vessels, our first site is the Grand Pharos Lighthouse, which guides ships along the coastline towards the large port at Ebonheart. However, we will be docking at the smaller Sidanine port for our journey. While not as grand as the port at Ebonheart, it is certainly the more budget-friendly location which many commoners choose to stop at instead of on their journey to Vardenfell. Known as the gateway to Vardenfell, or more commonly by the Imperial Legionaries as the swamp fever capital of Tamriel, it is certainly not a place for the casual tourist. Rather, the Bitter Coast as a whole is often visited by hunters, mages, and treasure seekers from across the Empire, as these foggy swamps have many secrets hidden within. As our boat pulls into the dock at Sidanine, we'll quickly check in with the Imperial Census Office. Not just anyone is allowed on Vardenfell, and the Emperor likes to keep a tight grip on this wild country. Still, piracy and smuggling remain a problem in this region, which we will soon see for ourselves. The town is not terribly big, but it's the only one in the region which has some facilities available for Imperial travelers to get their bearings. While most of the town consists of low-lying shacks dotted about the swamps, the one building of note is the large trade house run by an Altmer named RL. Here we can stock up on some much-needed supplies for our journey, and maybe enjoy a quick pint of rice beer in the tavern. Before leaving, we can stop by the lighthouse for a nice view of the island. Now, before going out into the swamp, we need to stock up on a few essentials. There are worse things than just deer in this wilderness, and more to worry about than just wildlife in general. The trade house should sell a few useful potions, such as something to resist disease. Remember, this is the swamp fever capital for a reason, as well as some weapons for hunting and self-defense. The creatures of the Bitter Coast tend to be fairly benign for the most part. These salt marshes are not terribly fertile, so only a few hardy species can actually survive here. Mud crabs and the odd pack of Nyx hounds are the most common sights in the area. Nyx hounds make for good hunting. Their meat is a local delicacy. If you're ever feeling exhausted on your travels, this energy-boosting meal can really make a big difference. You've also got to try the grilled hound meat and salt rice topped with a fried kwama egg, a popular breakfast among the Dwmer. While the wildlife on land is not really a major threat to anyone who knows how to swing a sword, the water is another matter. Slaughterfish infest the waters and are incredibly dangerous to those who are weak swimmers. They are not terribly great eating, but their scales are very useful for alchemists, this being their main value to the local fishermen. For the sport fishermen among you, the real prize lies off the coast. Once you get into deeper water, you might encounter the Menlike Drug, whose wax can sell for very high prices and is sought after by alchemists all over the Empire. Don't expect them to go down easy, however. These are dangerous creatures and can easily kill the unprepared, dragging them down into the depths. Now, the Imperial Humane Society will protest at killing sapient creatures like Drogue and claim they are some sort of sea elf. Their campaign to have the orcs recognize as sentient beings was similarly successful. But frankly, Vardenfell is very far away from the Imperial City, so what they don't know won't bother them. Now, another note about the swamps is the plant life. Alchemists and wizards love to visit this region for the rare pickings of wild mushrooms, as well as other exotic flora for use in potion crafting. Bungler's Bane, Luminous Rucella, Hyphafacia, and Violet Corpinus are some of the most common finds here, and all prized by alchemists, not to mention many more useful plants scattered throughout the marshes. Now that we have a good idea about the land around us, it's time to head out of Sidanine. The Bitter Coast actually split into two regions, the southern and northern swamps, divided by a stretch of rough lava rock left over by some past eruption. Going northwest through the pass takes you to the northern swamps and the next town on our trek, Hla Oad. Calling this place a town is saying a lot. It's barely more than a rough fishing village. That rustic atmosphere hides a dark side, however, as it's basically an open secret that this area is the center for major smuggling activities going on in Vardenfell. Illicit goods such as moon sugar and skooma coming in, while restricted or prohibited goods such as raw ebony, glass, and Dwmer artifacts leave through the hidden coves near the town. The Imperial Coast Guard operates out of Sidanine trying to catch these smugglers, but they know the coastline far better than the Empire does, and the local Dwmer, quite possibly including the local nobility as well, protect them. While it's an unfortunate circumstance, I'd avoid these smugglers if I were you. You don't want to end up being captured and sent off on some slave ship to the plantations down south. Heading north out of Hlaod, you may spot some bizarre, almost alien structures in the fog. These ruins dot Vardenfell and are an ancient remnant of Dunmeri culture, when they still worship the Daedra as gods. Dwmer today still honor the Daedra as ancestors, but many of these ancient cities have fallen into disrepair as temple guards have been pulled away to patrol Red Mountain. Now they are often haunted by deranged cultists, necromancers, sorcerers, and various minor Daedra. These ruins often hold incredible treasures for those willing to brave the dangers. Moving out from the cryptic Daedric city deeper into the swamps, another ruin of past civilizations rises up out of the swamp. The Dwmer fortress of Hormarin. Acting as a home base for bandits and slavers, these strongholds may be of interest to travelers, but should be avoided if possible unless you are extremely confident in either your stealth or your combat abilities. Off the coast from Hormarin are several smaller Daedric shrines to the various dark gods. Like the larger ruined city to the south, these offer great peril and reward, so enter at your own risk. Something more interesting to the inquisitive mind, however, is the Dwmer Tower of Aleph. While not the most impressive Dwemer site on the island, as massive underground cities exist deeper inland, this is a nice starting location for the would-be archaeologist out there. The local Dwmer claim that the steamwork mechanisms of the Dwemer still move in the depths, so as with everything else, it's best to be prepared. Remember, however, that all Dwemer artifacts are the personal property of the Emperor himself, and removing any of them from the island is a capital offense. Our last major stop on our trek through the Bitter Coast is the tiny fishing village of Namok. There is not really much that can be said about this place. It doesn't even have the distinction that Hlaod does of being a den for smugglers. For a tourist, it really only serves as a convenient resting point between hunting trips in the swamps, or as a stopping off point between boat trips to cities further up and down the coast. There are some rumors that one of the local cults, known as the Sixth House, having a base nearby. However, Imperial officials affirm that this is little more than a Dunmeri superstition. Now heading a bit further north, where the Bitter Coast melds into the West Gash region, is a quite famous location for many orcs across the Empire, Kag Point. This rocky outcrop is almost a pilgrimage location for orcs, and the final stop on our tour. An orcish mason plans to carve some sort of shrine into the rock here for his brethren, but is yet to begin his work. While we've traveled quite a long way since our arrival in Vardenfell, far in the southern swamps, we've merely scratched the surface of what mysteries the Bitter Coast has to offer. Sunken ruins, shipwrecks dotting the coast, forgotten caves and grottos filled with who knows what kinds of treasure. Your adventure really just begins here. Whether your interests involve looting smuggler caches or collecting rare herbs, there are always new secrets to uncover here in Vardenfell's misty marshlands. And for those of a more refined palate, heading instead southeast from Sidanine brings one directly to nearby Ebonheart, as well as the metropolis of Vivec City, both nestled in the beautiful and far more palatial Cascadian Isles. Heading further north through the rocky passes out of Namok, more ambitious adventurers might want to explore deeper inland into the West Gash region and eventually the more treacherous ashlands of central Vardenfell. Vvardenfell is a dangerous yet alluring place for many Imperial travelers, and we at the Imperial Office of Tourism hope to make your journey as enjoyable as possible.